You're in France, and we're told that France is sort of edging ever closer to sort of coming onto this list of concerns. It's really, really complicated, isn't it, for people sitting at home? They've been planning and thinking about their holidays. Lots of people currently in Spain. They went when the guidance was you can go. We've got these travel corridors, so you're going to be fine. And then while they're there, they're finding themselves having to quarantine when they get back. It's not an easy decision to make, is it?
No, it's not. And I think everyone's going to have to accept the fact that any kind of travel this summer is going to involve a risk, and you are going to perhaps have to lose money. The best way to sort of absolve some of that risk is to book with a package tour operator. So therefore, if it does have to be cancelled, you've got that extra reassurance that you will get your money back. But for independent travellers, people taking flights, it is going to be a hell of a risk, unfortunately.
I mean, clearly, it looks absolutely lovely where you are. You're doing nothing for our need and desire to get onto a sunny beach and down there in the south of France. I've just had a lovely few days in Cornwall, but the weather wasn't amazing, and we all did sit around going, wouldn't it be glorious if we were somewhere where we could guarantee some sunshine? So these people that have made that decision and have booked their holidays, what sort of recourse do they have, Lisa, if all of a sudden the government changes their guidelines, as we saw on Saturday in the space of 5 hours regarding Spain?
Well, it's going to be very difficult because airlines are continuing to operate flights, and if you've just booked flights alone, it's going to be very difficult to get your money back. Many of the travel companies are trying to be a little bit better at saying, OK, you can change it to another date or perhaps travel at a different time. So there is some flexibility there. But the travel industry isn't set up to have that kind of flexibility. They're used to knowing exactly how many people they're putting on a plane or booking into a hotel. So this fast-moving situation and the fact that people don't know from one day to the next if the country they're looking to go to is going to be safe. It's quite frustrating. What's also frustrating is that these are localised infection rises. So we've got coronavirus cases spiking in the north of France. Down here in the south, it's not quite so bad. And I think the government is now going to have to start to look like they've done in the UK with the localised lockdowns in Luton and Leicester, perhaps looking at doing something a bit more targeted for the rest of the world as well.
It's a challenging one, isn't it? But not for you, Fat Tony. You've decided to just go for it.
Well, I kind of just think that it's not a case of just going for it. It's like when does everything open up? I mean, you know, I don't think it's stupid to go abroad right now. I think that it's about personal choice and it's about safety. It's about making sure that your bubble that you're in and the people that you go with stay safe. You know, in Spain at the moment, in Ibiza, you wear masks everywhere you go. Here we don't. And, you know, it literally is a matter of making sure that you're safe within your own circle. And I kind of just think we have to carry on. You know, is it stupid that to tell people not to fly when 12,000 people are about to lose their job next week at British Airways because of that thinking? I just think that I'm actually not going on holiday. I'm actually going to work in Ibiza.
Of course.
But I'm there for 4 days. But 2 of those days are actually just leisure time. I think if I.
But the reality is, though, Tony, you're going out there for work, which is great. But when you come back, and you're only going for 4 days, when you come back, you're going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So if you've got any gigs over here, you're not going to be able to do those.
But that's just it then. We don't have any gigs over here. There are no gigs. You know, the nightclub industry is shut down. No, you know, no one's helping us right now either, I may add. You know, the whole of our industry is completely closed. We don't know when it will be opening. So travelling right now is an option for us because we have nothing else to do. What am I meant to do? Stay at home and worry?
Have you done a socially distanced gig yet?
Yes, I have, yeah.
How does it work? How does it work? Does it work? Are people behave properly? You know, does it work smoothly?
Throughout lockdown, I was DJing from my garden. I did like Victoria Beckham's birthday, so many different gigs for different companies live from my garden. And that kind of worked really well. This Friday, I'm down in Brighton doing Jean-Paul Gaultier for Brighton Pride in a closed-in studio on my own with 2 production people. Going out live to however many people. I think
is that how it'll operate while you're there then? Or you'll be there with people actually in front of you, as it were?
So I'm doing a gig on Friday in Ibiza, and basically I will be one side of the pool, the other people will have their own spaces. They're no longer allowed to dance. There's no dancing anywhere. So you know, so the option is you sit down and you eat. So primarily, I'm DJing now to people eating dinner, which isn't a great thing. You know, it's kind of going backwards in in my career.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, should Ibiza and Mallorca suffer because of the mainland? I don't think they should. I think that, you know, there's 4 cases in Ibiza at the moment. There are 846 deaths in our country yesterday. We're not talking about Luton and the other places that they want to shut down. You know, we're not telling people not to fly to our country.
Okay.
Because we had those spikes in those areas.
All right. Let Tony, just for a moment, I just want to bring Sarah in, because I know that you've got some important points. I've been messaged this morning, Sarah, by Sharon Elizabeth Noah. We're in Spain, travelled as soon as the air bridge was announced. While we're here, we learned about the quarantine. Whilst we've been in the Costa Blanca, me and my husband, we've worn masks in public spaces. We have a private square on the beach, never sanitised our hands so much, and social distancing in place everywhere. We feel safer here in our own private apartment than back in the UK. No deaths or confirmation here at all. It feels very unfair. But Sarah, Dr. Sarah is in the studio. I mean, regarding what Tony's saying there's 4 cases in Ibiza, what Elizabeth said to me, Sharon, sorry, said to me just there, it feels like this sort of local lockdown would be a much better way of going.
So just to clarify what Fat Tony said, I think he said there were 846 deaths in the UK. Actually, there were just over 700 cases. And yesterday, for the first time, they announced fewer than 10 deaths. That's the first time it's been in single figures, although that may have been reduced because you often have a dip after the weekend, which goes up, but much, much lower than that. I think the point about Spain is that I do understand if people really are all socially distancing, but if they were behaving that well, we wouldn't have this increase. The reason it was brought in at such a great pace was because on Friday night, the government was advised there'd been a 75% increase over 48 hours, that 10 Britons had come back to the UK carrying coronavirus. I know, out of 700 cases a day, but even so, that's just people who'd come back to Britain. And with respect to the earlier comments we've heard today about why can't we just have it in one part of the country, in one region, I understand that the Balearics and the Canaries are islands and they may be different. But actually, where the rest of Spain is concerned, 15 out of 19 regions have reported an increase. And with respect to Fat Tony's comments about social distancing in nightclubs, actually 1/3 of the outbreaks have been linked to social gatherings, including nightclubs. Alcohol and social distancing don't mix on the whole.
But then again, neither do 500,000 people flocking to Bournemouth Beach. I mean, when did that spike in this country? I'm not here to argue the fact of what we should and shouldn't do. I just think regarding social distancing, and I agree, alcohol and social distancing don't go. And that's why I'm not arguing the fact that I'm out of work at the moment. I'm in a place of calm around that because I know it's the right thing to do. But
well, look, we know that Sally's there as well, because Sally, you very much believe that people should be exploring the UK, and there's some great options over here. One of the tricky things and I know this because we were trying to get to Cornwall to go and see my family down there, everything's booked up. That's one of the problems people are having.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I actually helped to manage a holiday house in North Cornwall where we go for holidays and have a few guests. And it is absolutely rammed. But I do think it's totally bonkers to encourage people to go abroad at the moment when we don't know which other countries are going to be shut down, where we're going to have to quarantine, say, coming back from Croatia or France. There's wonderful, wonderful places in England. My great friend and her sister have just been in Gran Canaria. They came back on Sunday and they're both freelance. My friend's sister is a great dog walker. She could even, we don't know, lose her business because she cannot keep going for the next 2 weeks because she's got to be absolutely locked up in her house. And some of their neighbours have even threatened to rat on them to the police if anybody puts their nose out. But I do think it's just totally stupid to, you know, for Tony, obviously he's got his work to do. He can go and DJ out in Ibiza. Most of us, and particularly poorer people, simply cannot work from home. You're going to get the neediest people in the whole country who are literally confined to their homes, unable to earn for 2 weeks. It's a natural catastrophe for them. And I think most people don't really know their own country that well. Why not go and explore places like, say, Scotland or the beaches of Northumberland or, well, Cornwall, but you can come and stay at mine. But, you know, there are these incredible places in England. Most of us have never been there. I've been to the Norfolk Broads a couple of times, and I was stunned by all the bird life. Most people are just sort of trying to jet off to Tenerife or Ibiza just because they want a bit of sun. There's more to holidays than sun, and actually, some of Cornwall recently has been a bit like the Riviera. I know you had a bad run there, but it is a stunning spot. Devon also, and I'd say forget the foreign holidays for the moment. It could utterly impact you and your family, but really go out and look around Britain.